Hi everyone, Big Pauly back for a brand new video. Back for a little conversation, yes. I just felt like I wanted to have a chat about the current state of streaming and why I think they might be killing themselves. Now there's not going to be any fancy editing in this video. Not that I do that much fancy editing anyway. And I've written some notes down. I just want to express how I feel about streaming and how I feel streaming is going. Whether you agree with my views, that's up to you. Everybody has different, different interpretations and different ways of looking at things. But this is just how I feel about the current streaming fiasco at the moment. A fiasco, yeah. So I've got some notes written down. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's just have a little chat. Okay, first of all, I've got lots of bullet points and I haven't even got a gun. Yeah, that's good. I feel, in a way, maybe people are getting bored of streaming. To a certain extent, I am, for several reasons. First of all, the number of platforms. It's all very well just having one, like Netflix or Disney Plus. But when you get so many platforms, it's hard to tell what's on what. I understand that you can probably Google it and it'll tell you what platform this program is on, but you shouldn't have to bother with doing that. It was only last week I was in the middle of watching something and I left it off. And then the next night I went back to it and I couldn't bloody find it. And I had to go through all 5 streaming platforms before I found it. And that's really annoying. So, yeah. How many more streaming platforms do we need? I mean, what have we got? We got Amazon Prime, we got Netflix, we got Disney Plus, we got Paramount, we got Apple. Don't think I'm forgetting anyone, am I? There's bound to be a load more that are coming up. Also, let's talk about the costs involved as well. Whereas you're paying anything between £5.99 and maybe 10 quid per platform per month. That's a good 50 quid. That's a good 50 quid a month if you have all of them. Not to mention if you're paying another like 70 or 80 quid with Sky or Virgin Media or any other platform. So you're talking a good £100 to £150 a month just to watch streaming. Exclusives. Let's talk about exclusives. Every now and again there'll be an exclusive on either Netflix or Apple will have its own exclusive. And they can be entertaining, but they're not brilliant films. Some of them are not even good films. And they're one-time watches that you probably will never see again. They don't put any really good creative effort into creating these. They could be like straight to DVD versions, to be perfectly honest. I've seen a few of them. I haven't even finished them, because they were either so bad or so crap, or I got so bored that I just decided not to bother watching them anymore. And you get to the end of some of them and it's like, that's 2 hours of my life gone. You do get the occasional gem every now and again. Extraction 2 has just been released. I loved Extraction 1. There are some other good ones as well. The 5 Bloods, that was really good. Enola Holmes, I actually enjoyed the first one. I know a lot of people didn't, but I enjoyed that. But it's kind of like a throwaway again. It's not something that you're going to go back to watch many times. So yeah, to a certain extent, they do have different levels of quality in them, but they're never something that's going to grace your physical media collection. They haven't got that quality, unlike the Beaster Bunny. Oh dear me. Also, leaving due to only certain shows. So that's people that have decided to leave the platforms, leave the streaming platforms, because they're only interested in certain shows. So, you know, like we get The Mandalorian. Once The Mandalorian's finished, people are cancelling their subscriptions. Stranger Things, once Stranger Things has finished for its role, you know, this year until the next season, let's just cancel it. So people are only coming along for certain shows and certain movies, and they're not really interested in anything else. So it's kind of like pick and mix. So also streaming movies, not going to disc. Yeah. So like I say, with these films, The Five Bloods, Extraction, anything that was on Disney Plus. What was that one? Crater. See, that was a throwaway movie. That was a one-time watch, and that's it. Done. Not going to physical disc. Yeah, obviously, if they take them off the streaming platform, then kind of like takes away the invitation of getting people on there. But by not putting them on physical media, you're kind of like alienating your public as well. So far as digital is concerned, now I do have I have two Apple TV 4Ks, the boxes, the streaming boxes, and I use it to stream the platforms, you know, Netflix and Disney Plus, and I also have an iTunes library of digital movies. Now, I have not bought a digital movie from iTunes for about 2 years, maybe 2 to 3 years, because I became so disinterested in it, because it's just there. There's no collectability in it. There's no slipcover. There's no embossing. There's no disc. There's no fancy packaging. It's just there. You watch it and then you move on. It's just boring. Totally boring. So yeah, I stopped buying them. So I still have all the ones left on my platform, but I just stopped buying them. And I don't really stream anything from my Apple 4K TV anymore. I've probably got a catalogue of probably about 100 films in there, a lot of them in 4K, and I just go straight for the physical release. And just, you know, there's something about grabbing hold of a physical release and taking it out of the packaging and starting up the player, putting it in. It's the same with anything. It's the same with record players. You know, why do you think vinyl is so big? Last year, vinyl outsold CDs. Cassette tapes are making a big comeback. People want physical. People don't want digital. It's all shit. Yeah. Okay. Spotify. Yeah, I do play my music through Spotify, for the simple fact that my car does not have a CD player, so I've got no choice. So I stream the music from Spotify. I use Alexa in the car, and I mean, I do have CDs, vinyl and cassette tapes, but because the technology is so old now, you know, I mean, who's got a cassette player in their house? I know turntables have come back, so you can buy a turntable, but it's space as well. It's where to have them, because I don't really have the space to put a vinyl record player. And if I want to play a CD, I'll just stick it in my Blu-ray player or my 4K player and just play it that way. What should we move on to next? The studio's losing money. The studios are losing money buying digital. Losing money by not releasing box set and exclusives. So even though they're on these platforms, you're paying them like £5.99 a month. They could be making £30 to £40 from you from a limited edition box set. In America, they released the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things in like VHS cassette tape packaging. They haven't released any more. And there's the exclusives as well. They could be making money by releasing exclusives. You know, they're only going to stay on these streaming platforms for a certain amount of time. I mean, look at Apple TV. How long has that war film with Tom Hanks been on there about the battleship? I can't remember what it's called now. Greyhound? I think it was called Greyhound. How long has that been on there? Why not just release it now? You know, grab the market. People want a physical copy. It's the same with any of the other ones. You know, why not release Extraction on 4K? Yeah, so they're losing their money that way. Also, people leaving the streaming platforms because of the password thing that they're setting up on Netflix, you know, where you're not going to be able to share passwords anymore. Obviously, there's going to be people that are going to try and find ways around it. But it's going to lose a lot of people, and people are going to think, if they're saying, well, if you go to this, download this, go to there, and download that, then you can bypass it. The average Joe is just going to say, I can't be bothered with it. I'm doing away with it. Just because digital is here, it doesn't mean it's the future. And I don't think it's going to be the dominant force in the future. Not digital media. Physical media is always going to be around. VHS days, Laserdisc days. Yeah, they may alter, you know, something else new comes along. It's still physical media though. You know, VHS had their time. For some, they're still popular. But it got replaced, you know, got replaced by Laserdiscs. They had their time as well. I think they were a little bit too ahead of their time with Laserdiscs. Then DVD came along. That got, you know, that was here for many years as the dominant force. And then Blu-rays came along and it just pooed all over DVD. 4Ks are here. And then who knows what comes next? You know, for all we know, there might be some kind of optical disc that projects the image of the film directly in the centre of your room in 3D. We don't know the technology that's next. So there's always going to be some kind of physical media. So yeah, physical media is not going anywhere. It may be slowing down and kind of like trying to gather its pace, you know, alongside digital, but it also it all depends on the technology and what you're using it on. Also, let's look at this in the future. Let's look if we have an apocalyptic Walking Dead type of situation. There's not going to be any companies to stream anything. They'll all be dead. If you've got a Blu-ray player and you've got a way of powering it and a TV, there you go. You can watch stuff. Yep. Oh dear me. Movies that do get released from streaming to disc, some of them do get released. You know, you've got The Irishman. They've released Marriage Story, Power of the Dog, because I think they've seen that they've been such a success on streaming that they decide to release them on physical. And people that do buy the physical ones, you know, they do release these streamed versions onto physical, like I say, Marriage Story and Power of the Dog, then that's what you're going to watch in the future. You're not going to go back to watching the streaming version. Okay, so also something that I want to discuss is censorship among the streaming material. Now, we've seen it before. Gone with the Wind got edited. Recently, French Connection has been edited as well. They've edited some dialogue that maybe back then was acceptable, but now is not acceptable. And that's why I went out and I found the Blu-ray. I bought the Blu-ray because I didn't know to the extent of how much editing was done on that film. But there are other films that have been edited as well. Splashed, remember? Daryl Hannah running down the beach with her bum crack hanging out. That'll get edited and smoothed over by Disney. And that just opens up a new can of worms. Ew. Yeah, because that means that anything at all on the platforms can be edited. Without our knowledge and without our input. So basically they have complete control over what we see. That's the main thing. That's what it's all about, controlling us and controlling what we watch. And that's completely off. And that's why physical media just blows streaming out of the water. Because once you've got that in your collection, you know, once you've got that in your hand, you can play that as many times as you want. That will never get edited. You know, they might release another version, reprint it, years later, and that would have a reprinted, you know, that would have a edited version on it. But that's why you get your physical media, and you know, you buy it now. They have tried to get round it recently by putting a message up at the beginning of the screen. You know, the views in this video don't represent today's moral standards, but back then, you know, it is acceptable. And that's perfectly fine. Just do that. There's no need to remove material and remove dialogue and scenes, because you're just erasing the past. You're just erasing it, so you don't learn from what's happened in the past. So yeah, censorship is a big thing amongst streaming, and I got a feeling that it's going to get worse. There's going to be more edited stuff. Disney especially are going to edit the crap out of stuff, and you know, for the casual viewer, they're not going to notice it, but for hardcore film fans and people that have seen a film multiple times, that are familiar with every bit of dialogue, every scene in that film, they're going to spot it. So yeah, they need to leave that alone. Just put a message up at the beginning of the screen. That's it. So yeah, I mean, that's just a few of the points. I just jotted a load of stuff down. It also comes down to quality as well. You know, not everybody has super duper 1,000 megabyte per second or per minute streaming. You know, some people are still barely off dial-up, depending on your area, and you know, you're not going to be able to physically stream 4K type of technology. Not everybody has that, you know, can afford that, and also speeds, buffering speeds. You know, I'm supposed to have 70 megabytes per minute on my Infinity 2 fiber optic. I still get buffering, you know, from time to time, and it's not anything to do with the cable, because we've had all the cables, you know, replaced and everything. It's just, you know, if it's being used by so many people at a certain time, then it's going to slow it down. And a lot of these, you know, companies do throttle what you can use, so it does slow it down. So yeah, the best thing to do, in fact, if you do get like buffering and break up on your streaming, is just turn the box off at the mains and restart it, rather than just wait until it's okay, because it kind of like, it does reset it. But yeah, it has its problems. You know, I do watch streaming. I do watch the TV shows, you know, like The Mandalorian. I very rarely watch any films, though. I hardly watch any films at all, unless they are the exclusives, you know, like I say, like with the new Extraction 2, and that will probably be a one-time watch, just like all the other streaming ones. Obviously, with the state of physical media at the moment, you know, streaming got accelerated by about 5 years. The plan got accelerated by 5 years due to the pandemic. So if you want to blame anybody for the decrease in physical media, blame China. If they hadn't leaked the virus out of the lab, then maybe the world still would have been okay. But that's a different story. But yeah, so far as streaming and platforms and stuff like that, it's losing its interest, for me anyway. It's just your average boring. It's no more exciting than turning on BBC One or ITV, to be perfectly honest. And if I didn't have it, I wouldn't miss it, to be perfectly honest. I've got my entire physical media collection, and I would just go on enjoying everything in my physical media collection. So there we go. So I hope you enjoyed that video. It's just a little insight into how I feel about streaming and how I feel the future's going. And the future's not bright, it's not orange. So I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. Have a comment down below, stick some comments down below, get involved in the chat, and how do you feel, and how many platforms do you subscribe to, you know, do you have all 5 of them? Or if you're in America, you probably have crap loads more. But yeah, get involved in the conversation below, and don't forget to subscribe, like the video by giving it some thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next video very soon. Bye bye.